It takes courage to speak the truth, and Parisia is an American Freedom Alliance production where we celebrate and elevate those with that courage. I'm just incredibly delighted to be speaking with Jakob Nordangard, if that's how one says it. Am I close?
Yeah, you're pretty close. Jakob Nordangård.
Okay, I won't even try that. Thank you. Jakob, though, we'll go with that. Who has, in the research that I've been doing on the World Economic Forum and various globalist Puppetmasters, has emerged as, I think, one of the clearest thinkers, one of the people who've put the puzzle pieces together more than anybody.
Studying the impact of technology and science on society. That's what I've been doing.
How did you wind up in that field? What was it that inspired you?
Things just, I mean, it started with, I was asking questions about oil and energy. I was at the time an information officer at the real estate company, and I one day I didn't have that much to do on my work, and it happened that I started to asking questions about planning, city planning in my hometown, and it was they were supposed to build a new shopping mall outside of the city, and I didn't agree about these things. So because I thought that the city center would die if they moved all the shops out in the suburbs.
Right.
So and they had, and because of this, I wanted to write an article for our local newspaper in my home city, Norrköping. And when I wrote this article, I wanted to find the bad things with why is this a bad idea to move, have this shopping mall. And one of these things was, I had heard when I was like 17, 18 years old, that the oil would run out in 30 years. And when I was writing this, it was like, well, it's like 30 years ago or 25 or what it was. So I just wanted to find out, how is it today?
Right, we should be that done.
Yeah, and I stumbled into this web page that was called Life After the Oil Crash, and it was all about this peak oil theory, and it scared the shit out of me because and I was started to read about everything about oil and energy, and I wanted to find out, okay, is this real? I mean, this was just a web page that talked about these things, but it said that a lot of oil geologists say this, and it's very urgent. We have to do something now, and if this happened, all the society will just crash, and we won't have any freedoms left, and we will more or less have fascism and everything. It was so scary. So I bought every book I could on the subject about oil and energy, and I wanted to find out, is this correct? And after half a year, I decided that I couldn't work at my at the real estate job, and I had to find out more about these things. So I went back to university and started. I was trying to find a subject that covered this with energy, and the best of them was geography. And geography has always been one of my favorite subjects, even as a child. So it was very natural for me. So I went to the university and wanted to find out and find people that know things about energy. And so I came there and started to ask questions as a student. And I said, do you know anything about this peak oil theory? Is this dangerous? And they didn't know anything, nothing. So this led me to think that, okay, I have to study this myself. I have to do this myself and do all the, so I learned everything that I could about energy and oil, and also renewables. Because I wanted to find out, is it possible to use renewables as a substitute for I found out no.
No.
No, you can't do it. And I wrote a couple of the student papers about this. And I got in contact with a lot of people that were, I mean, scientists that were for this theory about peak oil, and also those who spoke against it. And at the same time, the climate issue became very big. It was the time of Al Gore and the inconvenient truth.
Yes.
And I saw this inconvenient truth video everywhere in the when I went to shop groceries. It was right beside when I went to a cashier. It was there.
Inescapable.
More important than the candy. And I thought, why do they just talk about climate, and why don't they talk about energy? So at first I thought this is about something. They want to hide the fact that the oil is running out. That was my first theory I had, so I wanted to know everything about climate as well, and to understand the scientific facts behind it. And it took me like a few days to I mean, the thing is, I hadn't really thought that this was something. I mean, it was in the newspapers. The scientists have now we know.
Right.
They know that humans are responsible and everything. So I mean, I didn't know at that time, but then I took a couple of days and just found out there is no proof. Whatever, you can't. It's impossible just to so it was so strange in my mind to okay, all these people say this, but they don't actually have the facts.
Zero.
And it was all based on models, climate models. So I mean, and I just said, this isn't science. Predicting things in the future. I mean,
right.
The crystal ball, astrology. What is this? So I was kind of upset at the time, and all these things led me to want to understand the things behind this. And at the time, I also had started to realize that this with the peak oil theory was kind of, it was strange things there as well. because that was also very hard to actually know how much you have in the ground with oil and where it's coming from. And so I started to read about this abiotic theory and everything, and then it's turned everything upside down for me. And at that time, I decided I want to know the history behind this. Things. So I was started to read a lot about the history about the oil companies and energy use and climate. How did it all start? And that was an eye-opener. Because at that time I had started my doctoral studies at Linköping University in Sweden, and I wanted to just have a short background chapter, like 5 pages or something. And it, but when I started to dig in this, it was so fascinating, so interesting, that it ended up in 50 pages. And I knew I had found something that would shake the world. Because, and I was actually kind of scared when I found out the background.
This is the background of the climate as an issue that could be exploited.
Yes.
So the fear-mongering, it was not based in science. It was fear-mongering for a particular purpose by some people.
Yes, it was. And it was, I remember, and I wrote this in my working paper that I wrote, Thoughts Leading to Action. But it was like a military operation.
So who was running this military operation?
Yeah, the thing is, it was a lot of foundations involved, big philanthropic foundations.
Philanthropic.
Yeah, exactly. Misanthropic.
Yes, that's a fact.
Yeah, and it was the Rockefellers, and they were one of the most important players in this, and it went back to the 50s. And you also had the Ford Foundation and a couple of others.
The Rockefellers was, I heard you talk about this, kind of shocking because they're the oil people and they're playing this energy, the climate game.
Yes,
so
because
how did that work?
I mean, the thing is, I mean, I was for a while, and it was because of peak oil. I was involved more or less in the green movement at the time, and I wanted to raise the question about how do we do with this oil thing,
right?
And they knew. I mean, the enemies were the Exxon, and it was these big oil corporations and the Rockefellers. So I mean, to find, I mean, they are running this as well. It was so strange, overwhelming as to find out these things. So I just wanted to know why.
Right. I was going to ask.
Why are they doing this? And the thing is, I just and I wanted to tell people, I mean, at the university, said, okay, do you know these things? Do you know that these oil men, these oil people, are involved in the climate and in environmentalism as well? because I didn't know that at that time that the Rockefellers and all these other big players were very, very heavily involved in setting up WWF and IUCN and all these environmental organizations.
What is RUCN? WWF, World Wildlife, and what's the other one?
That's the International Union on the Conservation of Nature.
Okay.
It was founded in 1948 by Julian Huxley. And I found out that a lot of things happened at that time in 1948, and the Rockefellers were set up a conservation foundation.
Another perfect opportunity to craft a new world order of some kind.
Yes, I mean, and we have been working on it for a long time, and environment was, I mean, the main thing, because what I had been thinking before, it was, I mean, since I was a teenager, I have been kind of, I mean, the Mr. Global, those guys that are planning things and are managing the company, the Earth.
The Earth.
Yeah, yes, I saw them. I saw the environmental movement as an opposition to this.
That must have been.
We are the nice guys. We are trying to do the right things for the planet. We're trying to expose those guys, and then find out that okay, they were actually very, very behind the same environmental movement. And I mean, that's how they win.
I was just going to say, so that's why, that's the way to win. And the rest doesn't matter. It's all, it's about winning. It's about power. It's about.
And you get all these people that supposedly don't like you, work for you. As you can see with Greta Thunberg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't she a scary little figure?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, it is scary, and actually, I wrote about the background to Greta in my latest book, The Global Coup d'etat.
Which is not. Is it in English?
It will be very shortly. It's almost finished, and but we have to print it. And I hopefully will be out later this year.
Your Rockefeller book is in English.
Yes, it is.
And I'm reading that, and I've been recommending it to everybody. Yes,
that it is.
It is deeply chilling, but everything that you write is terrifying.
Sorry.
I know. Well, you know, not blaming the messenger. It's scary stuff. And if you go into this as a lover of the planet and believing in conservation, and as you said, these are the good guys and these are the bad guys, finding that the good guys are in fact the bad guys, and then discovering this incredible web that they've been weaving. So you said Rockefellers and the Ford Foundation. Who are some of the other misanthropic organizations? And then who are the good guys? So first the philanthropic organizations, all these people crafting this, the plan for us. It's a lot of. So there's Gates.
I have this.
Yep, I see Gates. Bilderberg, the United Nations, of course. Open Society, absolutely. Rockefeller, Ford, and I can't. Is that CFR? No, who's the top left?
It's Carnegie.
Oh.
Yeah, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Ford, Rockefeller Brothers Fund, Open Society, United Nations Foundation, that's Ted Turner. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Bloomberg. That's
And
one.
Bloomberg.
How?
Oh
Yeah,
my
Bloomberg
goodness.
philanthropist.
You mentioned, well, yeah, in the presentation you did at Malmo, so those are the philanthropic organizations that you just cited, but then there's corporations that have bought into all of this too. To Visa, MasterCard.
Yeah, of course. And they are, I mean, they are connected to World Economic Forum. I mean, they have
Right.
that's a hub for these
Right.
people
So
and corporations and philanthropists and everyone is involved there.
everyone is. There's no escaping. And even this notion, the first time I ever heard public-private partnership, I thought, oh, how marvelous that the government recognizes that private industry can do things better, but that's not what it is at all. Yet again, another inversion.
Yeah, I mean, it might sound good.
Yeah.
A lot of these things can sound good, and when they market it, and
But
I
it's
mean,
really a
it could be
subversion.
good, but
It could
I
be
mean,
good.
yeah, but what it evolves to, I mean, it's more or less fascism. It's a fascistic system with a merge between the state and big corporations.
And it devalues completely, it subverts this notion of we're a self-governing nation.
Yes. Yeah.
Self-governing nations. It's a charade. Our elections seem to be, I'm not going to be quite as forceful as I feel, but it feels as if the whole election process and representative government is more and more a joke, and we play at all of this and nothing, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We spend time and energy and trying to get certain...
we think that things will change if we have another one.
Right? But so it turns out not only do they have, and Klaus Schwab had said he's got hundreds of people at all tiers of government in pretty much every, at least first world country. They're his people.
Yes, I mean, and we have a list that is published now on my blog with World Economic Forum Young Global Leaders. It's more than 4,000 names on that list with the new leaders, and we have been working on this for a long while, since 1992, and you find names like Angela Merkel, and I mean, and yeah, and Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, all these leaders that became top players in the world scene. Yeah.
So those are the obvious one. Merkel, Macron, I believe.
Macron, oh, of course.
Right?
And Trudeau.
Right. Yeah. The woman in New Zealand, I mean, it's
Jacinda Ardern. Yeah.
And so many in the United States. I don't know that anybody would call Biden a leader of any kind. But many in our government have gone through.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's more or less you have to today.
That's interesting. Yeah. So so we've got this network, and it's the philanthropists, it's people in government at all levels, it's corporations, it's banks, it's major organizations like all the global, the WHO, the World Bank, IMF,
yeah. And the United Nations.
And of course the United Nations.
Yeah, and that's not very good. The partnership between United Nations and the World Economic Forum.
Right. And from what
Yeah,
I've gathered, and
that's problematic.
so who drives whom? Do the programs come out of the World Economic Forum and then they're pushed through the UN? Or is it like they just get together somewhere and figure it all out?
I would say that had been working very close together. And I mean, I would say that the United Nations, they take care of the good values. They take care of the humanitarian things. And World Economic Forum takes care of the execution. How will we do it? What kind of techniques do we need to do this, to get a balanced, better world? And that's a very dangerous combination of these things, because I think we have developed the worst. I mean, it's good to have values and humanitarian response and everything, and justice and equality. But this is just words. And yeah, and that be interpreted in a way that is not very good for humans at all. I mean, and we also want companies that are they do this the things that they are effective, they are structured and ordered, and they do the things that a company should do.
So
but now they bring the worst of two things together and create this not so good, and it just started, and I mean it will end in a catastrophe, I think.
Unless we fight it, which we'll get to. So the United Nations has the 17 Sustainable Development Goals.
Yes.
That's all sound marvelous. No poverty, as you were citing some of them. Everyone's going to be equal and nobody's going to be hungry. Everyone has access to medical care. Women-centered stuff, I don't even understand what that is. Right? I mean, seriously, what does that mean?
I wrote a blog.
Our planet. Leave no one behind, promote peace and how can you be against these things? They're so marvelous. Be prepared, right? Listen to
be prepared. Yeah, exactly.
So we're all Boy Scouts now, except we can't be Boy Scouts because it wasn't fair to girls. So we have these 17 Sustainable Development Goals that are the ideals. And by the way, your blog, you have written up about a number of them, and you're going to do the whole series, right?
Yeah, the thing is, I have to correct you on this, because the thing what I'm writing now is about our common agenda, and that's 12 commitments to achieve the Agenda 2030 with these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So it's they want to solve the same it's kind of the same things, but this is more, how do we execute this? How do we do it?
And our common agenda was the Secretary General's report.
Yes.
With Guterres. He wrote in 21 after their 2020 meeting that they had in June. So already June, they were already deciding that COVID was sufficiently catastrophic.
Yes, and they had to change the system.
Everything about everything.
Everything. And this is the answer on the Great Reset, the conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That we say it is. I mean, and we have all these videos, we have all this material that we're talking about the Great Reset. But I would say that our common agenda is the United Nations answer on this, how to achieve this. And I would say it's more it's like they want to create. I write about it in my latest article. To create a digital world brain. It will manage everything on the planet. And it's so megalomaniac. It's so mad.
So,
and it's hard to take in
that
they really want to do these things.
So this is transhumanism in the extreme.
Yeah, it is, and surveillance, of course, total surveillance of all the resources on the planet, including us humans, of course. And it's the Internet of Things.
Yes.
Or Internet of Everything. So I mean, we want to have all their stuff, all their things shipped, so they can follow everything and know what they have in their inventory. So it's so mad.
And it's real, and you're not making this up. I mean, they really...
No, you can read all about it. I mean, they release so much material, and World Economic Forum has tons of reports on how to do this.
And they're proud of it.
Yeah, they think this is the good thing.
Yuval Harari.
They think they have solved the problems of the world. And I think they think, but hey, we are the nice people. We are actually trying to do something good for the planet.
So do you really
like this?
Do they really think that? Do they really think that there is, that utopia of that kind is possible, and that they have the means to get there?
Yeah, some kind. I mean, I wrote. I mean, I wrote about the Rockefellers in my book, and it's obvious that they have some utopian thought in this.
Yeah.
And I mean, John D. Rockefeller, he said, he was like, God gave me the money.
Oh my!
I mean, he was Christian. I mean, he was a Baptist and everything, and he read the Bible every day.
So manifest.
But he had this thinking that because I'm much better because I follow God, and God gives me these things, because I mean, it's this theology that if you're successful, and all the bad people, they are not following God, and now they are more like playing God themselves. It's like they want to achieve God didn't do this good enough, we can do it better. We can create, we can perfect the world. We can take over God's place and make this a paradise.
Right.
So I think a lot of them actually think this, and it's it's the meaning to do this, and it's I mean, and I have some part in the Rockefeller book that talks about Pierre de Chardin. The French theologians, and that talks about how this God's plan will evolve with us taking over, and we are going to develop and more or less become transhuman or post-human, Chardin said. So they are more or less taking this this philosophy, and because it fits the plan.
So this isn't, so Rockefeller felt manifest destiny. His great wealth was a sign of God's favor, and he was supposed to use it in this good way. But you're right. I think my thinking has been that we've gotten the argument these days is more that we feel we've transcended God, and it's the secularism that's allowing this. We're the ones now making these decisions.
Yes. And you find these people as well. But I mean, Julian Huxley was one of them. He was into secular humanism and also transhumanism.
Aldous' brother.
Yeah, exactly. Aldous that wrote this dystopia novel. But I know, I mean, he knew what he was writing about, because I mean, it was the some of in the British elite that they wanted to achieve this society, perfect society.
So it was less a warning and more I don't know what.
No, and it's I mean, if when I read it first time, I thought this is kind of a warning. But,
yeah.
But you know, when you know about, when I read it again, it's no. This is the society.
If you're bred
for, yeah.
And that it does seem increasingly where we're heading, both from the technological point of view, but also the philosophical viewpoint of man in his environment, because they know best.
Yeah, and I mean, it's as I found out about the climate agenda and environmentalism, it's very, very deep steeped in eugenics. So I mean, it's all these ideas with perfecting and the betterment. I mean, and the Rockefellers, we have is the betterment of society, betterment.
So talk about eugenics some more, because that's misanthropy as well.
Yeah, it is, and we know what happened when the eugenics movement was very strong, and how it ended.
Every time.
Very, very bad way. And I mean, they took, they decided, oh, we can't use eugenics as a name anymore. So we have to, make something new up, to market it in a new way.
What is the new trend?
I mean, and now we have genetics, of course, and it became transhumanism. But it has always been there, and when you look on the background to the environmental movement, they were all eugenicists.
Really? That was
Julian Huxley,
all in over,
and the Rockefellers, all these top players, and I cover also the Population Council, and we have that is a very big topic as well, the human problem, too many humans on the planet, and I mean, John D. Rockefeller III was very big on this, and the Population Council. And when they met for the first time, it was all the people were from the into eugenics. And I mean, the top was kind of heading this Population Council. He was the head of the Eugenics Society. So it's so connected. I mean, and that was kind of shocking for me to understand that. Okay, and also see the parallels with the Nazi Germany and what happened in Nazi Germany, and the Green Movement and everything, going back to the countryside and everything that was a part of this movement before Hitler came to power. So, and that was an eye opener to see this. Okay, it's the same things happening.
And then we have Bill Gates Foundation and his family connection to
he's very
very
into these things.
Right.
Margaret Sanger,
and
Margaret Sanger were a friend of John D. Rockefeller Jr.'s wife, and they gave money to her and everything. So I mean, it's everywhere.
And this idea that she, just this lovely lady who wanted girls to to be able to have, sex without worrying about things too much and not ruin their lives, as Obama had said. And you must run into this all the time when you try to tell people, no, it was eugenics, it was this, it was that, it was getting rid of little Black children, which of course it still is. They just scream you down. So you must find this, well, I know you found this with your PhD thesis, that the Club of Rome actually
the Club of Rome. The thing that was about the European biofuels policy. And I was mapping out the actors involved in how to make policy of it. And one of the top players in this, that was, he was in the European Parliament, and he was responsible for biofuels in the Parliament for the legislation to run it through the Parliament. And he was a Swede, or is a Swede, like me. And he became the head of the Club of Rome. And he was involved with the Club of Rome all the time when he was in the European Parliament. And I found out that he wasn't working for the party that had, but he was, he was supposed to be for the Christ Democrats. Kristdemokraterna.
The Christian Democrats,
the Christian Democrats, And but he worked for this global agenda. It was the Club of Rome, and also an organization called Globe that I write a lot about in the Rockefeller book as well. And when this doctoral thesis was finished, because I had written all about these things, and his connections, and how it's connected to the Club of Rome, what the Club of Rome is, who they work for, and everything. So he got a copy of his thesis 2 weeks before I was supposed to defend this. And he didn't like this. And the thing is, he was the head of the Club of Rome. He has friends in high places. He knew a lot of professors at my university. He knew top people in Sweden, politicians and also business people. And they didn't like the things that I exposed. So he tried to actually stop.
Isn't that
stop it from he was a master in lobbying,
but
because that's what he was doing.
But he didn't succeed.
No, he didn't. No, because what would we couldn't say anything, because I've been very thorough in my research, and footnotes on everything.
I'm sure
you could. I followed the process totally to understand this. So, okay, they wanted this. So the only thing they could do was actually to see that they could spread rumors, of course, about me, that I wasn't trustworthy, and they could also see that no press release. Because I was interviewed for a press release, and also being a part of they had this magazine that covers things that's happening at the university. But after he had intervened, never went out anywhere. And my department's website, we didn't say that because usually you just, oh, now we have a new, come and see our
right.
And this is the Dr. Thesis that and everything. Read it here. Nothing.
Is it published now?
Yeah, I mean, it's published.
Is it was published in English?
I actually had it was I was recently interviewed by Catherine Austin Fitz, and afterwards
yes,
a few days later one of who had seen me, he had downloaded this Ordab Cow, the political history of biofuels in European Union, and he had translated it for me. So eventually I will have it in English.
Marvelous.
When we have time to do that, of course. So yeah, it was good. But it's very interesting if you want to know things about how European power politics works and how European power politics connects to American power politics.
Yes.
Yeah, because they are very tight. Very tight.
Yes, and especially if the puppeteers are the same.
Yeah, they are. And we go to meetings, when we have this big package going through in about energy in the European Union, the same thing is happening in the United States. It's it's very interesting when you actually go into a political process and how it works, and how early they start to work on this. I mean, it takes more like 20-25 years.
So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez didn't just go home after she won her position in Congress and let's put this thing together. You don't think that's how it happened? The Green New Deal? I have an idea.
I write about it in this book. It's Den globala statskuppen in Sweden, the Global Coup d'etat. That will be out in English. It's possible to pre-order, I could say.
Fabulous.
But I also have AOC in it and how it happened.
Good.
And
good.
Who was working with her, and the Sunrise Movement, I think it's called.
Right, and, I remember hearing about
who
that.
funded who funded them?
Right.
Any guess?
So what I keep discovering, and I think I was mentioning this before, these global puppet masters that are these foundations and then these corporations and these philanthropic organizations, the fact that we have elections, it seems increasingly to be just a charade, because no matter what, I'm going to make a strong statement, but I hope I'm wrong. It feels like no matter what, there are people pulling the strings that have nothing to do with who we chose. This notion of representative government seems gone at every level, at the presidential level, which, whatever you think about the election, I happen to believe it was not a legitimate election.
They do whatever we like.
Ridiculous. Down to city council level and zoning boards, that you elect people who you think are going to act on behalf of the people who elected them, but as the your member of parliament who is not acting to represent those who had elected him, but instead for the Club of Rome. It feels like this is just at every single tier. And when we have our little elections, even putting aside fraud, which is unbelievably rampant, they're still not responding to the people, and they're not even necessarily responding to their friends. They are acting in accordance with directives from above. And I cannot believe I say these things. It sounds crazy. And I know when this video goes up, we will get slammed with all kinds of warnings, and it will be taken down from YouTube. But one of your videos, by the way, I think it was your conversation, I don't remember. There was a little thing underneath it that YouTube had included saying the New World Order is a conspiracy that some people say is, you know, blah, blah, blah. So don't pay any attention to this video. So it seems crazy, but it's not, is it?
No, it's real.
And you came at it not trying to expose it, but trying to help the planet. And you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted, I mean, of course I wanted to expose the bad people that are ruining the planet.
Right.
That was what I was trying to do.
Right.
And when I found out that the background to all this, and I knew why they have succeeded.
So what?
But I think the time is running out for them now. Actually,
more people are waking up. They're playing their hand too openly.
Yeah, because they have to nowadays, and then we also have. I mean, we have wanted to create this world brain and to control everything on it, but at the same time, they wanted to. They had to give us something. They had to give us the possibility to connect all across the globe. So now we can talk to each other, and we're not isolated anymore. So I mean, they wanted an instrument for control, but we can use it for our benefit to actually expose these things, and they are kind of afraid now, and that's why they have all these fake news and all these they want to correct the messages on Facebook, and they want to use artificial intelligence to do these things, and they want to stop people speaking out. And
yes,
it's impossible. They can't succeed with this. They will try, but it's we don't have the we have the time now. They don't. It's going very fast so
why what so you okay, so you're talking about the connectedness. They separated us during COVID physically, but they gave us, we all got conversant with Zoom, and everything became.
Yeah, and I mean, and it was a boom with, I mean, so many people. When I wrote the Rockefeller book, it came out in 2019, the year before the pandemic, and I had a small following before that as well, that was reading my things. It was mostly older guys, older male scientists involved in climate before, and also these science nerds that want to have facts for real. And it was a kind of a small group.
What does that say?
but I sold a lot of copies of Rockefeller in Sweden. But it was not that many people, and very few women. Very, very few women. It was like 1 out of 20.
Really? Yeah. Not a lot.
But what is interesting in these hard facts with climate. But as soon as the pandemic was declared, the women came. And I mean, and also all the blog articles I wrote, and then the Global Coup came out. It was an explosion, and it was so many. And nowadays, I was kind of lonely in those years at the university. I'm not lonely anymore. I have so much people that I'm talking to, and all over the world now. And it exploded during the pandemic. So things are happening. So and I think that they are, every step they take now, it's not this getting very it's worse for them because they expose themselves more and more for each time. And the thing is, what I have wanted to achieve as well is trying to map out how they do these things. How does politics work?
Mm-hmm.
What are the techniques? And because I found a lot of material in when I was doing this study on European Union, and how they themselves tell how we are going to do these things. How do we manipulate the masses? So I wanted just to tell how does this work, because I think that's the recipe to that makes us immune to the manipulation, to understand how it works. Because I mean, it's like an illusionist.
Right.
And you can he can do all these marvelous things, and you buy into all it. But when he tells you how he do it,
right,
doesn't work anymore.
So you want to expose that, but they're also exposing it themselves. But why do you think some of us are immune anyway? Do you have any idea of that? I mean, some of, like, the women who found you in the early days of COVID, lots and lots and lots of people have completely bought into the fear, the narrative, the mass formation, all of this with the same fervor as they did with climate catastrophism. Same people have this need, and some of us just go, I don't think so.
Yes. Yeah, that's how it works. I mean, we are. So that's why we can't build a perfect system, because we have these differences, and I think it's more. It's like we have. It's like God have made in his computer program. He has put these people in it. So those that want to control everything can't.
So random number generator for gullibility, or that's some who want to control and some who resist control, and everything in between. But can we stop it? I get that more people are waking up, and I think back a lot to 30s Germany, where people were saying, I liked him more than the communists, but at this point, I'm not such a fan. But it doesn't matter at a certain point. And if we all wake up and so on, what can we do with our awokenness to stop it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's, and for a lot of people, when we are, when we get, we come to a level with people that are awake and are awake for real, because I mean, we have all these junk theories, we have all these traps everywhere, and people, they wake up and they buy into anything. So but I think if we but have been, we are seeing things more clearly, when we come together, we can be this beacon of light, and people will suddenly wake up from a dream and just, what just happened?
What just happened?
What have I been into? So and I think it can get kind of fast when we get there, because it's if we and you know, Catherine Austin Fitz, she talks about the Gideonites, Gideon, the history of Gideon, and how a very few people can beat a large army, because we have truth on our side.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So I mean, they are doing all these false tricks and everything. So nothing beats truth. Nothing could stop my doctoral thesis.
Right.
And when we tried to suppress it, and people were kind of, why? I want to know. So the thing what happened with that was a lot of people downloaded this.
That's
thesis.
marvelous.
And that's the most downloaded thesis on my department. So it didn't succeed.
Right. And so often it does boomerang. So we talked about what they want, and then the World Economic Forum, you said, is the mechanics and the techniques and the means of accomplishing these things. The number one thing is the digitization of everything.
Yes.
Right? Because that allows the Internet of Things.
Yes.
And during COVID, they adapted us to a certain extent to showing papers, having passports, being our temperature taken, chips, QR codes. That was as soon as the vaccines came out, you know where this was going. They were focusing us into some kind of compliance that they would have every right to verify.
Yes.
And that was the QR code. And then wouldn't it be simpler if we had everything in a little chip? And I remember Obama, when he came out with Obamacare, we'll just have everybody's medical records digitized, because won't that be easier for everybody? So much more convenient. And that was the first glimmer I had of that whole things being done for our convenience. I think I said this when we spoke before. We've gone from für Ihre Sicherheit, for your safety, which is bad enough because I can deal with my safety. Thank you. And now it's für Ihre
Sicherheit,
für Ihre Bequemlichkeit, for your comfort, for your convenience. It's all
exactly.
Right? So much more convenient. We'll scan your iris when you arrive at the airport, and that way you don't have to wait in that long line. Everything is going to be marvelous.
Yeah, and they know how to market things. How to make, I love my prison. It's so lovely. And they take care of me.
They take care of me.
Yeah.
And you will own nothing and be happy. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is
and they will put humans in the center.
Humans in the, well, some of us.
Center of Panopticon.
Isn't it? It's astounding. And people, honestly, straight out of Aldous Huxley. Marvelous. It's all soma, right? Soma was in Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
We're all somatized, and this sounds marvelous. Some of us are built to resist, as we said. You are, I am. And hopefully enough, the Gideonites, I think that's marvelous. So all of this is supranational. It even, they're wanting to even wipe out the idea of borders, and they've picked those two things: disease, but pandemic that crosses borders, and the climate also crosses borders. And those are the two vehicles for arguing for global control. How can you argue against health? How can you argue against?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And then we have refugees. They also cross borders. So I mean, we have all these problems, and I wrote, I've written about it in the Global Coup as well. All these kind of techniques that they have used with problems that span the globe.
Yes.
I mean, we have the nuclear bomb, of course, scare of the Second World War. So
nuclear winter.
I have it in my book. All these things.
Wow. Wow. I can't wait till that's in English. And of course, your client, the refugees are climate refugees now.
Yes.
So let them in. Who cares if they're doing all the terrible things that they're doing?
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And they also they want to mix people all over the world, so we won't have this feeling for a nation state.
Right. How do
Yeah.
you break tribalism anyway? I mean, you can't. So this just completely goes counter to
Yeah, it does. It's just total madness.
total
Doing this. Yeah.
madness that requires an iron fist
Yeah.
to impose.
Mm.
And Stalin learned that. Just once all the bad people are done away with, it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
and
that's the thing that is scary when we have people that they say we are working for the good. We want to get rid of the evil.
Right.
Yeah. Because at that time you become evil yourself.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm. So I just one last question. I hope we do talk again, but it gets very late here and you have a day ahead of you. And
Yeah.
I sit here in the United States of America where we had Donald Trump during COVID. Now we have Joe Biden. How does it look from your side of the pond? What's happening? What did you think of America before COVID, before you discovered all these things? How do we look to you now?
The thing is, in Sweden, United States has always been seen with suspicion, and but it tends to be more like, but we like the Democrats.
Of course,
they are seen as the good guys. Mm-hmm. The Republicans as the bad guys. And has been, it's a lot of reporting in Sweden about United States, more than any other country in the world, I would say.
Yeah.
And people are very Americanized. I mean, we have all and everything. We see America with suspicion. At the same time, we have adjusted to the American culture and Hollywood movies, everything that comes from America. City planning as well came from America. Everything. So we say it's this double thing, and that's what I saw with the climate as well. Mm-hmm. Because Sweden and United States have been cooperating very tightly since the 50s with climate research, and also the planning of the Stockholm Conference of the Environment in 1972. It was very close, everything. At the same time, Sweden was one of the main critics of the Vietnam War. Olof Palme, he talked about the bombing of Hanoi, and he was very, very upset against the evil Americans. But behind the scenes, we were working together all the time.
It's hard when you have a...
Yeah, so it's very double these things, because in a way we are very fascinating with American culture, and at the same time very critical against all the America as the police force of the world, and these things.
Yeah. And now with COVID, you were the one free nation. You were the model.
Yeah, it was very strange.
It was,
indeed,
right?
Because usually we are so. I mean, we've been first to take the ball on everything when it comes to I mean, internet surveillance and be progressive and all these things. Sweden comes first. We'll take it. We'll do it.
Really? So you
but this time we didn't, and it was kind of strange. But I also know that our constitution said that you can't do these things. You couldn't have these lockdowns. You couldn't have these force with masks and everything. So we had to have this more softer control, because the thing wasn't that Swedes just was walking freely and doing everything. I mean, we couldn't go to restaurants after like 8 o'clock in the evenings. I think 6 o'clock sometimes. It was stupid, and the people were obedient, even though we didn't have law enforcement that said you go to jail if you do. You have to people just adjusted to it. It was hardly any people out. I remember driving through Sweden in April, and it was, where are all the people?
Yeah.
They were home. They didn't, because I mean, we saw what happened in other parts of the world. So why don't we do it? And the thing was that when you were watching the news in Sweden, the journalists, the reporter, they asked the politicians, why don't you do more? Why don't you just close down the whole society? Isn't this irresponsible? So it was never, they never said, oh, this is a good way we are doing here.
You didn't embrace
so they were always trying to, we must do it harder. And that was the main criticism in Sweden. So now they are working on if it happens again, we will have a new pandemic law legislation that gives them more rights to do lockdowns in Sweden as well.
That's the lesson? We're all saying,
that's the lesson.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden.
Yeah, because we're supposed to be a part of the global system.
Oh my goodness.
And I write about this in my article series about how we want to create this emergency platform. If a crisis happens, they can act fast, and all nations just have to follow.
Well, this was what
so Sweden have to adjust and change the legislation to achieve this, of course.
About 2 months ago, I think, the United States had asked the World Health Organization to have exactly such an emergency thing that should something break out, all nations' sovereignty would cede to World Health Organization. So you did that on your very own.
Yeah, that is a part of our common agenda. It is.
Oh my.
We're very openly stated in our common agenda, and that's becoming a part of my new book as well, to follow this, because that's what they want to create, and they want to have it in place in like 2025.
What is your new book?
My new book, it will be based on this article series about our common agenda.
Excellent.
And I think I will call it like techno dystopia. That's the working title on it, and I hope it will be out till Christmas this year.
Wow, that's excellent. Yeah. That's very soon.
Yes, so it's 3 books. Everyone have to order now if we want to know about my work and thinking.
And I didn't find them on Amazon, but on your website.
Yes, it's on my website now. The thing is, I would love to have an American publisher. So it's easy to distribute the books there, because I send books from my home.
Well,
I have,
we need to talk. Thank you so very much for just an amazing conversation. We'll have to see if I have a funny feeling that the CDC here is relaxing. They've relaxed almost everything, but I still think one needs a vaccine to come into the United States. But I have a feeling in the next 10 days to 2 weeks, they're going to relax that as well. In which case, I hope you'll come to the United States for our conference on the Puppetmasters.
yes.
Otherwise, we'll do another much more focused conversation. And I really would just love to talk to you again. This has been absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it was lovely to talk to you. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.